I wonder how you feel about this moment right here. Like, you're not going to fight this man on Saturday, right?
It's a shame. It's a shame I can't fight, because I say do big numbers.
You can tell Eddie Hearn is a numbers guy and a fight promoter. He's even getting to the point where he's like, you know what, I might have to get in the ring. I don't want to be in the ring, but the numbers are so good, I'll sacrifice myself.
Oh, massive.
I saw you going up against Frank Smith.
Yeah, it was Frank Smith.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as much as I don't think this guy will be a world champion, there's Jake Paul and there's Frank Smith, you know. So, sorry, Frank.
If you're wondering who Frank Smith is the CEO of Matchroom Boxing, actually where this interview came from. And if you're wondering how exactly that went down, this is some footage.
How do you think that fight would go, you versus Eddie? Big guy, similar weight. I mean, you're dropping.
I mean, in the UK, there's so many people that want to see me knocked out. We do like 2 million pay-per-view buys in the UK.
I love how Jake Paul just smirks like, money. But anyways, how big is Eddie Hearn? Well, we can find that out with a quick Google search. Eddie Hearn is listed at 6'5", and he's about 225 pounds. At least that's what Google says. And the thing that I think would catch Jake Paul's interest the most is the age here at 42 years old. Haha, jokes.
And if I lose the bet, then I'll take 10 million to fight Jake Paul, and I'll just take the UK pay-per-view. He can have all the other revenue around the world.
And just to fill you in, Jake Paul and Eddie Hearn made a bet for $1 million that their fighter will win this Saturday. Jake Paul saying if he wins the $1 million bet, he's going to give the $1 million to Amanda Serrano. And Eddie Hearn, not so much. He says, you know, he's thinking about taking the money, but that's to be determined if he'll give it to Katie Taylor or not.
Is that a fight you're interested in?
What, me?
Yeah. I mean, you're calling out everyone else, you know.
Nah.
You called out Dana White. You called, you know.
I just, nah, we're just...
There was a stage where I believed I would easily beat Jake Paul.
Eddie Hearn helped promote the Logan Paul versus KSI back when the YouTube boxing thing started kicking off. And I think that's when Eddie Hearn thinks he had a shot at beating Jake Paul when he first started boxing. And who could blame him? I mean, Jake Paul wasn't seen as intimidating back then.
Heyo, I'm Jake Paul from Bizarre Vark, and you're watching Disney Channel. Oh, no, look.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not so sure now. I do think he's improved
It's
a
only
lot.
been 2.5 years. So
No, but he can fight. I'll give him credit for that. I told you where I think the limitations are, but he can fight.
The limitations Eddie Hearn is talking about Jake Paul is Eddie Hearn said that Jake Paul would never be a champion in the sport of professional boxing. He also said that about Tommy Fury. He also said that Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul is a 50-50 fight, that it would be very close.
Tommy Fury could never win a British title, right? Like, it's a 50-50 fight, you and him.
do you agree?
No.
I love how Jake Paul does not like go straight into a conversation and expresses himself. He's just sitting there quietly till Ariel Helwani asks him, and he's just like, no, not at all.
But Tommy Fury...
But he's also sitting here saying, like, there was a stage where I could beat Jake Paul. Like, he's delusional.
No, but I didn't
You
know.
know if we fought, it'd be 30 seconds.
I think deep down, Eddie Hearn is putting up a image. I think he knows that Jake Paul would annihilate him. He's not hiding it, but even saying, like, back then, he thinks he could. I think he's fronting a bit on that because in that clip, to Frank Smith's credit, he did get back up and continue to, box with Eddie Hearn.
I disagree.
30 seconds.
Did you see the footage
I
of him
disagree.
sparring recently?
I don't need to see the footage.
You would be a big favourite. I'm terrible. But like I said, for 10 mil, I'd do it.
There we go. We got the price. Eddie Hearn wants $10 million. Jake Paul, give him $10 million. And we got a fight that everybody wants to see, right?
Wow. I feel like now we're getting
There's no point. It's 4 or 5 steps backwards for me to fight.
Do you think
Eddie Hearn does not want any smoke with Jake Paul. And I don't even think Jake Paul wants to fight Eddie Hearn. I mean, at this moment in time, Eddie Hearn and Jake Paul are like business partners. You know, why would Eddie Hearn want to fight Jake Paul and get punched in the face when he can make money either way without getting punched?
he should fight Tommy Fury next? This is a hot topic right now.
I look at it and I'm like, he's got all the keys over Tommy Fury. Like, the only payday Tommy Fury could get in the sport is through Jake Paul.
Yeah, Tommy Fury is probably not a big Eddie Hearn fan at this moment. First, Eddie Hearn says he's never going to get a championship belt in the UK. And now he's saying that his only big payday is through Jake Paul.
So I admired Jake in a big way for accepting that fight, because I actually thought, I know he believes he wins that fight, but I actually think it's competitive.
That's it for this one, guys. Tell me, would you tune in and watch Jake Paul beat up on Eddie Hearn? Would you watch a pay-per-view of that? And also, do you think Jake Paul defeats Tommy Fury, or do you think it'll be closer than Jake Paul thinks?